Beginning in 2015, San Antonio police officers Emmanuel Galindo and Alejandro Chapa began recruiting women to help in an undercover program. In April of 2015, CR1 met Galindo and Chapa at Starbucks. The officers showed her their badges, explained the undercover program and how it would work, the different levels of participation, and what she would have to do to qualify for those levels. She described some of the questions. Would we be okay with killing somebody? Would we be okay with sexual activity? And what type of sexual activity? How far we were willing to go with sexual activity. If we're okay with breaking the law, like driving over the speed limit, shooting somebody, stealing. Galindo and Chapa explained if she qualified, she would be entering into a contract punishable by prison if she told anyone. CR explained that she agreed to participate because she had recently been granted custody of her little sister and her mother was threatening to take her away. CR could not afford a lawyer and she was also trying to adopt her nephew. When the opportunity arose, it kind of seemed like a miracle that I was going to be able to get them. The next test was at her apartment. Galindo arrived, he searched the apartment, put his gun in his briefcase, and started the alcohol testing. He made her continue to take shots of tequila, dance in her underwear, and he would test her with a horizontal gaze nystagmus test. He told her only the highest-ranking girls would continue in the program. CR then explained, he basically said we had to do a sexual act. He said the more that's involved, the higher the score is for it. So if you are only willing to hold hands, your score will be lower, whereas if you have sex, your score will be higher. Then he said that the higher your score is, the more you're allowed to get paid. Because my plan was to only do it temporarily, so he said if you want to get paid the most for the shortest amount of time, sex would be your best option. CR testified she only had sex with him so that she could move up to the next level in the undercover program. Galindo came to her apartment a second time, but had to leave shortly after he arrived. He then set up another training session. When they arrived, Galindo told her that she needed to pass her second test, the exotic test and sexual act. The next mission was at a hotel. Galindo took CR aside and told her that he could help with her custody issues, but that she would have to perform a sex act with Chapa. That was the last time she spoke to either Galindo or Chapa. In April of 2015, FV met for an interview with Galindo at Starbucks. The initial communication began through texting. FV was instructed to look for the detective with the yellow envelope. At trial, FV identified Galindo as the individual she met at Starbucks that day. Galindo presented FV with a long questionnaire, including what sexual activities she would partake in, questioned how comfortable she was with different illegal drugs, and whether she would ever hurt or kill someone. FV was told she faced serious punishments if she spoke to anyone or divulged the information Galindo had disclosed. After she left Starbucks, FV received a text that Galindo's detective recommended her a level 4 for purposes of pay and operations. Several days later, when Galindo and Chapa arrived to pick her up, Galindo told FV that if she went through with the mission, the officers would take care of her pending DWI. FV met with both Galindo and Chapa on several occasions. On the first occasion, she did not have sexual intercourse with Galindo. When FV received her points, they were insufficient to dispose of her DWI. On the next occasion, she had sexual intercourse with Galindo for the sole purpose of acquiring sufficient points to dispose of her DWI. But when she told Chapa that she was not interested in Galindo, the missions stopped. On June 16, 2015, SF met Galindo at Starbucks. He showed her his credentials, told her that he worked with Special Ops Forces, and explained that he and other officers were looking for help in a covert operation to hunt drug lords, terrorists, and other criminals. Galindo conveyed that the officers were looking for women to act as girlfriends and wives, and the women could earn up to $5,000 per day. SF told Galindo she was desperate for the money because her mother needed a kidney transplant. Galindo showed SF a confidential form. He asked her to provide her information and identifiers and explained that if she told anyone about the program, she could be fined up to $10,000 and be sent to federal prison. Galindo told SF to text him if she was interested. The first step would be to participate in a series of tests to see if she could hold her alcohol, perform lap dances, or other sex acts to see how comfortable she was in an undercover capacity. He also asked her about her comfort level with illegal drugs and whether she would kill someone. SF testified that during her first test, Galindo came to SF's apartment. He had SF continue to drink shots until she was intoxicated and then sexually assaulted her. After he left, SF committed herself to a treatment facility and never spoke to Galindo again. The state also presented testimony from several witnesses who met with Galindo at Starbucks around the same time in 2015 with similar stories. Galindo met each of these witnesses and asked them to serve in an undercover capacity. Each witness testified that Galindo, 1, told them that their pay would depend on their test results and how far they were willing to go. 2, gave them a confidentiality agreement and told them that, if they breached it, they faced fines and potential jail sentences. 3, asked about illegal drugs, personal information, body measurements, and whether they were willing to hurt or kill someone. And 4, told them that the first test would include a determination of how much alcohol they could hold and still exercise or perform sexual dances. For different reasons, something made each of these witnesses stop texting and not follow through with the testing requested by Galindo. On April 26, 2016, a Bexar County jury returned a 23-count indictment alleging 4 counts of sexual assault, 4 counts of compelling prostitution, and 15 counts of official oppression. The jury found Galindo not guilty on 2 counts of official oppression and guilty on
Emmanuel
the remaining 21
Galindo.
counts.
Hello, Mr. Galindo.
Morning, Your Honor.
Morning. So on this case, it's from 2016. So am I the judge who heard his jury trial or no?
No, Judge. It was Judge Hildig at the time was the one who presided on the case.
So have there been conditions given to him or no?
Judge, I'm looking at a court summary. I don't know if the court has it. I can,
No, I
okay.
thank you.
I do believe that conditions were set at one point. At least I saw the conditions specifically to the other counts, but I don't know about as it relates to this specific count.
All right, and the location where he wants to reside is with his daughter?
The issue where he will backtrack a little bit, Judge. So the issue, the address where he's residing or would reside is where his sister lives.
Mhm.
His sister,
Niece.
I'm sorry, his niece, his niece. That address has been approved by parole. His niece does have my client's daughter residing there as well. And so the issue is that the address has been approved by parole. My client has been compliant with the requirement that he wear a monitor at all times. The issue is that probation, because of the SONU conditions, is not allowing him to reside in that address. And so if he moved out of that address somewhere else, that's not approved by parole, maybe violating parole conditions. And that's,
All right, so we're in a little bit of a limbo state. I'm assuming you're not approving.
Right, yes, we don't agree to allow living with any minors.
All right, so what I can tell you is I'm not even allowed to even consider this until the parties who are in the household are approved as chaperones by the sex offender unit. So I think that's what needs to happen first, because if that hasn't happened, the answer from the court is going to be no, because it has to be someone who's approved. So I understand that parole is saying that you're paroled to that location, but you're gonna have to let parole know that you're on probation for this.
And there is an issue, Judge, like I brought it up with Mr. Cavani, it's like he wasn't granted more than 8 years on any of his 21 counts.
Mhm.
And that was in 2017. So he shouldn't be even on parole, to be quite frank. Is 8 plus, my math is bad, but 8 plus 17 is 25. And so this year he should have been removed, but it's showing when I pulled this NCIC display that he's paroled until 27, which would have been 10 years, which
and we discussed that, Judge, and I did see it on the judgment, and I was talking to Mr. Villarreal about it,
Mhm.
but it did seem a little bit strange.
and I guess that's my concern is that if parole does correct it, we shouldn't be really taking guidance from parole.
All right, let's do this.
That's why it's 10 years.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
My client was telling me that he has stacked 5-year sentences, Judge, that's why it's.
Oh, maybe
I-
he'll big stat.
I looked at all the judgments and kind of they're a wreck, and I don't see any, I didn't see any, and I could be wrong, of any that were to run consecutive.
All right, let's do this, because there's a lot of confusion over this. One, I'm not the judge who heard this. That would be that guy right there.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if there have been any conditions set for you for probation. And according to the state, I don't even know if you should be on parole. And if you should not be on parole, then somebody needs to correct that.
So the judge ran the 8s and the 5 concurrent with the stacked 5. That's what happened. That's why I have a 10 maximum year of TDCJ. So I have 1 year left to serve on parole.
Well, what I can tell you this, if the judgment doesn't say that,
Precisely.
Yes.
Precisely.
So
yeah, what he said. So we need to figure out what's going on here. But what I can tell you, if I rule on this right now, it's going to be denied because there isn't even a chaperone that's approved. I don't know what's happening with your other cases, but what I can tell you is what's in the judgment is what counts.
Mhm.
It's not, just people thinking this is the way. Sometimes people make mistakes. I understand what you're saying, I have to look at the judgment. Your attorney needs to look at the judgment. Because if you should not be on parole, then it's probably best that you not be on parole. So we can recall this back for late January, or when would you like to recall it?
Well,
Or we can call it later.
Judge, my concern for my client is, where he'll reside till January.
Mhm.
I understand that it's obviously become a financial issue for him. At the same time, he can't reside in that address because, of the minors who were there. But I don't know that. And then we have the issue with parole. And so my concern is, what can my client do to not disobey both parole conditions and these Bexar County probation conditions?
Well,
I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the compelling right now, and all it says is to run concurrent with several of the other counts.
then, if you all want, you can come back later this week if you think you'll figure something out.
Would probation be able to even prove this? I guess theoretically, if the court were to consider this, would probation be able to even make that assessment as it relates to it?
If somebody want to call and see if they can do it quickly. I want to call probation and see if they can expedite it. Chaperone, the problem is with the chaperone, they have classes. But if parole is asking for him to parole at that location, maybe parole has already done a chaperone.
Parole stated that I don't have any child restriction stipulations, ma'am.
Oh, so that answers that
Mhm.
question. They didn't do a
Right.
chaperone. So, yeah. All right, I just have a seat. They're gonna
Yes, ma'am.
call
Thank you,
whoever they
Judge.
need to call. Thank you. Yes,
Can we approach on Mr. Galindo?
yes.
Honor.
Let me find him. Yes.
Judge, so the state, and I had talked to the court liaison, and so it looks like Mr. Galindo has signed up for his SOMU conditions on December 5th.
Mhm.
But I don't think they've interviewed the chaperone. And that's just what's.
So according to probation,
Mhm.
they don't do the interviews for the chaperones. It has to be the treatment provider that they are
Mhm.
going for sex offender treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, from what I can see on the TCIC and CC, he wasn't paroled until November 25th. And so he's just been recently released, signed the conditions on the 5th. So I don't know if he's been really set up to do any of
Mhm.
that. Yeah. And Mr. Galindo was correct. The judgments are kind of funky. One of the counts of compelling doesn't have any reference to consecutive. It's the one other one that says it's consecutive to it. So
Right.
he did get those consecutive terms. So he should be on
Okay, so when will his parole end?
2027.
All right, so at this time, legally, my hands are tied with
Mhm.
regards to residing until there's a chaperone approval, and then we'll need to be a hearing. So at this point in time, it's denied, and counsel, if you could remain on the case.
Sure.
If you all want to come back and have a hearing once there's something in place for oversight of the minor, then the court will consider that.
Okay.
All right, so just whenever you want to set it, count.
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
Backseat leather, legs on your dash, lip gloss, cherry, hands on the glass. You say my name, pull on my dress. I bite my tongue, but you read the rest. Whistle on my neck when you pull me in, tracing every line like you learn my skin. Talk with your mouth, but your hands translate. Whistle on my neck and my heart misbehaves. Slow lane driving, traffic can't wait. One more exit, one more taste your breath. Circles, heart and intent. You mark the places you wanna revisit. Whistle on my neck when you pull me in, tracing every line like you learn my skin. Talk with your mouth, but your hands translate. Whistle on my neck and my heart misbehaves. Windows fog, we laugh and see. Push back, rhythm starts, we're crashing. Every little sound you make